So, market analysis. Is Bitcoin finally going to break 16K, or is this the local top? So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you are new, please do subscribe, slap on a like, bell button for more videos obviously, and yeah, leave a nice comment. First things I want to go over this, clarify a few things. Yesterday's video I talked about withdrawing profits in crypto and whatever, tax. I may have confused people, right? Let me go over this in real simple form, because a lot of people have been commenting and also I can't read what my comments are saying too. Stupid. So, basics. Selling money, or crypto for money essentially, exchanging it for another cryptocurrency, yeah? So, BTC to USD, BTC to Ethereum, RSI, anything, whether it's a stable currency or another crypto, using it to pay for services, so debit cards, yes, I know, sucks, and ultimately sending it to other people. Now, this is where people got confused. If you are a holder and you've only ever bought Bitcoin and you've never done anything with it, you're fine. Don't have to do a thing. Think of it like holding a house, right? Any sort of asset, you only pay tax at the point of sale. If you, however, move it into Tether because you're a bit rumbled, you will have to pay tax on that profit. Sorry. The next bit, this is where people go confused. You only pay tax at the tax reporting year. Now, this is how I kind of explained it, as in multiple transactions are then calculated and you pay tax at the end of that year. What people are confused with is people feel that on every single transaction, you pay tax at the point of selling. You do not. You are subject to capital gains tax or whatever tax, is efficient for that purpose, but it is all calculated up and done at the end of the reporting year, because you may make $12,000 profit or £12,000 profit in one coin at the start of the year, but the rest of the year you might be fucking shit. You might be awful. Therefore, you will not have to pay tax because you've not gone over the threshold. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so everything throughout that year will be reported and done. As I said, go on Coinly, link below. This is a brand new account just to kind of show you what is on it and in it. Obviously, you got all your information. It tells you exactly, and it does realistically just tell you exactly what you need to know. You go to wallets, you obviously sync them all up. If you go to add, there's absolutely everything from wallets to exchange to blockchains to services as well. If you're doing lending, really is good. And obviously you've got transactions, which I'll tell you all, but tax reports. This is where the confusion lies in terms of everything else. The one thing that did confuse me is this, obviously for a full record and stuff like that. But like I say, if you've been in the game and you've done multiple little things, it will tell you if you are subject to paying it, okay? And it will tell you if you need to pay and what you need to declare at each tax year. I hope that helps. So let's go into the analysis. So let's talk about Bitcoin, because obviously what's happened this morning is we've retested that 16K level. People, as I always say, influencers annoy me because they always go, oh, look at this, he's going to go to the moon. It's like 16K retest. At the end of the day, it's going to be $1 million. Fuck off. What tends to happen is that tends to scare it. Obviously, please do follow me or whatever on Twitter, because I do talk quite a lot about, people, and I want to go through this chart in a little bit of detail to kind of show you what is on here. Now, the first thing we need to look at as well is first things first, right? In my opinion, this is like a divergence, right? So what tends to be happening here? This level is obviously, these regions here are higher than these regions, and the RSI is lower than that region. As you can see, this is the top E area, this is lower, but the price is higher than the RSI. That would indicate a bearish divergence. I know that it was poorly explained. Anyways, these levels here, these green levels are extensions. Now, the first extension, how I got this number was from this low down here to this top area here. Hello, you can see it. So this was the top area of the weekly. It retraced over a few days in and then pop. This is where this extension was. We blasted through it. It is now support, and then ultimately we've got the one at $16,741 region in and around there. So that's how I got that. But the confluence between these levels as well, vitally important. These could in my opinion, be very, very interesting. We could be looking at these regions again. They're there for future note. Ultimately, they have some sort of confluence between the move, and they also have a big confluence between the whole entire area in the past, but it has very, very big confluence with something else which I want to go over. So if I remove this, let me try and remove, there we go. There we go. It also has a big confluence with something else on the weekly time frame, which is vitally important. Now, when you look overall at the grand scheme of things of the entire move, okay, now I'm going to say a few things. If this doesn't move and it carries on going down, this could actually be happening. If you look at where the 382 is, 11,400 is right on that previous level of interest where that previous fib was, okay, where the resistance was of 11,400, as in from this top, we went down, retracing those moves. That's the first move. This is a 618 of it, vitally important, and this is a 786, pretty much essentially in and around that region. I think, I can't remember, may have moved a bit. But either way, with that being said, this is a vitally important area because it has got a confluence with the 382. That could be a monster retracement if it wants to do it. Now, I know people hate me saying that, but markets go up and they go down. I feel for us to push even higher, we need to get a liquidity grab. So it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if that happened. Now, with that being said, we need this to be the local top. Potentially it could be. And this is obviously the extension where we could be going. And then once that does turn around or it's failed or rejected, it's not hit it, we can then readapt and change it, because ultimately what will happen then, we'll have new extensions if it turns around and finds a new floor. If it finds a retracement, then it will make newer highs potentially. So what could happen here, wait for it, I'm just going to confuse you a little bit. Now, I don't want to go too far in the future here, but what could happen now, as I say, we could do this, right? We could literally go from this swing low here on the weekly, which is a big move, and we could go all the way down. And look at here, right? Look at the way, obviously, where the 618 is, where that weekly level is, roughly where that zone is, right? This could happen right now. This could be the next move, because this is now the top, essentially, potentially the top. Don't get too excited. But if this does retrace, and you got to think as well, confluence between this overall move as well. I know I'm going to confuse you now with even more fibs. Hello. Look at where it kind of aligns as well with the longer term one. You got big levels lower. That could maybe happen, maybe unrealistic. But when you look at the fact of the 382 and around with the 786, where the 618 is around where these previous levels are, these previous levels are vitally important. So they do have some sort of significance. Anyways, this could be the next play, in my opinion, could be the next play. And this is where people start getting a little bit excited. The reason why people get a little bit excited is because if this is a local top and we retrace and this is still the trend, so uptrend, pullback, right? The pullback could then lead to a much higher push. We could pull back all the way back down to 12,200 where this weekly level is, or even up to 13,000 levels, whatever, and maybe even go from there and potentially test 20k from that point, i.e. a simple sort of move into the trend. So it could be a continuation of the trend going down into these weekly levels. Who knows where it could go? It could go all the way down to there, for example. And then it could push off to the next level, which is all the way up here, potentially. That could happen. That is how trends work. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. Continuation. Weekly trend is fine. People get worried though. And what I will say is this simple analysis as well regarding all of this. We've got to wait, and this is like, we just got to be patient. It's still playing out, this original move is still playing out until we get a new weekly closing slightly lower. Then we can start maybe plotting out some new levels where we can aim to hit and disregard the old ones. Freshen it up a bit, make it nice, neat and tidy, and we can do a full top to bottom analysis of that when it happens. Now, one thing to mention as well, I said simple analysis, EMAs. EMAs on the chart would indicate, with it being too far away, it will pull back. Any sort of crypto, any sort of asset, EMAs are good to give you a bit of clarity. On the weekly time frame, this is majorly away from the EMAs. It will start getting a bit upset soon. It's like a kid running off in a supermarket. Starts crying and comes back. This happens in tradable assets. You can see it all around us, all around, how it all comes back. Anyways, that's Bitcoin. Okay, simple analysis. Now, as I say, There may be totally fresh analysis coming to next week. If the candle starts printing bearish, we start getting a pullback, but that'll be fine. Liquidity grabs are perfect. Moving on to the likes of Ethereum and other things. Again, same sort of situation. This is a bit more, interesting in my opinion. Apologies. The reason why this is more interesting is because of the way the trend is. This is obviously the high. This is the low. We're at and above the 786 region of resistance. It's now support, and we're potentially going up. Now the reason why we've got big extensions further forward is just due to the fact of where the move has been. It's been pretty crazy when you think about the whole entire move. This is the whole entire move potentially, from this top to bottom, the 618 level. So, if you're looking for the greatest of retracements, it could go down to 240, but it's very, very, who knows? It's very, very unlikely. But one thing to say with this as well, you got all kinds of levels of confluence between previous regions where it's been. As you can see, it's already went up to the 382. It's been quite good, to be fair. And again, moving forward, this is where you got the big extensions. Okay, that is why these extensions are here, because it has done what Bitcoin hasn't done just yet in terms of that next phase. The next phase of this has done its thing. It's popped up, it's retraced into the 382, and now it's on its way. Is it on its way beyond $500 up to $594 and up to $700? Who knows? That could be the next play. If it does fail, what we can kind of expect, certainly on the higher time frames, is a run down to somewhere a little bit more normality, in my opinion, where we could potentially be going lower. This is a previous launch area from this little dip, but very, very quick to kind of get on that, and it's already kind of gone. This is now support levels, okay? So as I say, trend is still forming nicely, getting quite extended now. It will pull back, in my opinion, and I still feel that this is kind of the way to go from it in terms of this. I think if we do get a deep retracement, it wouldn't surprise me if it goes all the way down to here, but it depends on how high we go first. I still think this trend is still working, still going for it. It's had a bit of a consolidation, it's popped up a little bit, so keep an eye on it. But with Ethereum, I think, obviously with the Ethereum 2.0 and all the bullish news, it needs to break this level here. This is simple. This weekly level needs to be broken, but when you look at it, it looks a pretty good formation overall as it stands right now. Until, if it rejects of this level and it goes down into a downtrend, we may see further retracements. But overall, when you think of the grand scheme of things, when you look and zoom out, it's like crazy of how high this could realistically go. But it wouldn't shock me at all, if I'm saying this bluntly, that this just goes for an absolute run. And the higher time frames will always give you that clarity, that information. But it has done a retracement, whereas when you look at Bitcoin, it hasn't, in my opinion, done a deep enough retracement yet. So would that indicate one thing? If Bitcoin does a bit of a retracement and the alt is still strong and the dominance comes down, we have an alt season even when Bitcoin drops. That could happen. Moving on to the dominance chart though, obviously one thing to mention, it's doing exactly what I said on the tin, i.e. what's happened here. Previous bull run, by the way, if you want to see what it looks like, boom. I did a chart analysis from this level here to this level. It's retraced beyond the 382. It's tapped the 618 on the nose and started to turn around, right? However, I will say this, it turned around, it's starting to come back up again. So we may well see a bit more bleeding in the altcoins, but it may go back up to this level and it may reject. If, as I said in previous videos as well, if this does go down, dominance, alt season, right? So if this does drop over time and it has rejected and it is a continuation of this trend, because this is a trend, so you got high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Is the next bit a lower low? Ooh, if it is, altcoins will flood the market and it'll get very, very interesting. Hordes of people will come in and people will get big bags. Yay. So overall, that's pretty much today's video in terms of basic analysis. There's some good things in the market that's good. Obviously, you need to keep an eye on the dollar. The dollar is really, really good as well. Similar sort of action here in terms of what pricing. When you look overall and you see how it's kind of working, it's not looking good. The dollar is like struggling to get any sort of momentum right now. So it's already coming down from the last few days of a little bit of a rise. So just be careful. If the dollar goes down, Bitcoin will go up. If the Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does go down, it's usually because the dollar's gone up. It's one of those things. So overall, one thing to mention as well, please do comment of what coins you would like me to look at. I'll do this like every Thursday or every Friday or whatever, market analysis, just to get a gist of what's happening overall. We'll go over all coins, so like if you put a load of comments, I'll cherry pick a few and we'll go with them and do some top to bottom analysis, go over them. And yeah, I don't want to be like the normal influencers on YouTube that just constantly do the same thing. It's been a while since I've talked about this. So yeah, I'll look to do one per week, which will be pretty good. But yeah, as I say, I'm very much a psychological trader, Fibonacci sort of guy. I like to buy low and then take profit at some point. I'll move it around and make sure I protect myself a little bit. But ultimately for me, can't really complain with how the chart is looking. I do think it's very, very risky if you are futures and margin trading right now, because the volatility could be coming. Certainly if there's going to be a test and multiple rejections of 16k. But like I say, with Bitcoin, when you look at the grand scheme of things, and we're waiting now to see if we're going to continue going higher, it's a waiting game. We've got to be patient. I personally feel that we may be at a local top sort of area. If that is the case, we can then refresh the whole chart essentially from a new standpoint, because that would then indicate a drop going downwards from that low swing there. And that could be really, really good to chart, because that'll give us some really nice order areas and also extension areas. So we'll see how it goes.